Okay, we're gonna start off with, I know there's people in the audience who want to speak, but we just have some legal business we need to manage first. So we're gonna start off with attorney. To explain to us, we're gonna be taking the order of taking for Country Club Way easements. If you could just give us an overview of what that really means.
Sure. Sure. Well, as it currently stands, the town, through the Board of Sewer Commissioners, actually has easements through and under and over the private roadways and called Country Club Way and Pond View Drive, I believe. Yes, both of which are 50-foot wide easements. And we also have title to a lot known as 13-1 in that same subdivision. These roads service the subdivision. We also own a lot known as the Davis lot, which is also within that subdivision. So underneath the roadways in the subdivision, we have infrastructure for sewer already in place. As you know, the plan is to expand that and make improvements to it over time. So the purpose of this is simply to establish for the record, without any ambiguity, that in fact the town of Kingston, through its sewer commissioners, has these easements, has the right to access both properties it owns within the subdivision for the purposes of maintaining, adding to, and improving its sewer infrastructure. As you know, this is a subject of litigation at the moment. And the intent of this is simply to clarify for the record and for the court going forward, so that there's no confusion as to the scope of the easements that the town has through this subdivision.
And this means we do not own the roads. We're just taking easements.
That's absolutely correct.
Private roads.
That's correct. We do not own the roads. We simply have easements over, under, through.
Okay. Brian?
The only other question I had was just given, as you mentioned, the existing litigation, that's basically our position was upheld by the court, but it was appealed. What effect does this have on that litigation? Does it make it go away, or does it still proceed? Or
well, our position is that it renders the litigation moot. I don't know how the other side will react to that, but simply it's further evidence for the court to consider that, in fact, we do have the rights to do what we plan to do on that property and in that subdivision. So I can't guarantee that it will go away, to answer your question. I can't guarantee that it will go away, but it's simply persuasive for the court to look at and say, you know, this is an academic issue. Why are you fighting over the town's rights in the subdivision roadways?
And the only other question that I thought might be pertinent is there's no cost to this at all. There's no exchange of funds. There's nothing going on. We're just reestablishing, or further establishing, I guess is the right term, our easement that we already have.
That's correct. That's our position. We already own the easements anyway. This is simply, an exercise to make it clear that that we do own them and what they run to. Second, as Attorney Tallerman has indicated in the past, there's authority to the effect that there's no value to a roadway anyway for taxation purposes. So our position is that there's no value to what we're taking, and plus it's public works, and public works for public use are not. There's no value to them for the purposes of taxation as well. So that's another factor that weighs into our consideration, that there's no value to be exchanged.
Thanks. That clarifies for me. But
and this closes the loop, the vote that was taken at town meeting to allow us to take the easements by eminent domain.
That's absolutely correct. I'm sorry, I should have prefaced my comments with that. Exactly. Article 33 rather, from the annual town meeting authorized the sewer commissioners to go ahead and acquire these easements through taking through eminent domain.
Bill, do you have any questions?
I do not at this time. No.
Okay, I guess
the people of Country Club Way get compensated
No.
for the property that was taken
Sir,
for eminent domain?
No, this isn't part of that conversation. This is validating a vote that was taken at town meeting. So if no other questions with the commissioners,
Just the motion?
yes,
So I'll make a motion, this is I believe. Yeah, I hereby move that the board acquire by eminent domain for municipal purposes, more specifically for the purposes of the facilitating construction and maintenance of wastewater infrastructure and other utility construction as authorized pursuant to Article 33 of the May 11, 2024 annual town meeting, and further to authorize the chair, Elaine A. Fiore, to execute and enter into any and all documents necessary to effectuate the acquisition of said property.
I'll second that.
all in favor? Elaine, aye.
Brian, aye.
Bill Watson, aye.
Point of order. This is to the attorney. The next paragraph is a permanent easement. Should I read that also into the record?
Yes, please.
Okay, let me just finish that then.
Okay,
Just said property is a permanent easement upon those parcels of land compromising subdivision ways depicted as Pond View Drive, 50-foot wide, and Country Club Way, 50-foot wide, on a plan of land entitled Plan of Land, Indian Pond Estates, Roman numeral 4, a subdivision located in Kingston, Massachusetts, dated September 9, 1996, and recorded in the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds in Plan Book 41, page 780, as may be amended. That's the end of the motion.
Bill, you want it?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Elaine, aye.
Brian, aye?
Bill Watson, aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll sign the document, get it notarized, and get it back to you and Jay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
All right, have a great evening.
You
Thanks.
too.
Bye.
And just next, I just want to talk about the SRF loan documents that were finalized and the amount that we discussed at the last meeting. It came in less than that. We got awarded the CDM services, the cost for their services, CC's Construction's bid price, and a 5% contingency. So we're actually being funded for the SRF at $7,043,000 rather than the $8 million one that we talked about at the last meeting. So that's that. So since we have some guests with us, if you want to introduce yourself so we can have a conversation.
I'm Frank Castillo. I live at 305 Country Club Way.
I'm Mike Bassick. I live at 14 Links Way.
Okay,
I'm John Medicam, 30 Links Way.
okay. So why don't we address do we have any updates on the irrigation issue yet? Nothing that we've heard. Okay, Bill, you're aware of the irrigation.
Yes.
Okay, so basically just to put it in record, we have the easement to work on the area within a section of near 30 Links Way. And we marked it off with a silk fence, I guess you'd call it. And now we've got a metal fence that went up. And when the metal fence post went down, it hit from what I understand, a main water line for the irrigation system. So we're all at a loss to where anything is underneath that easement to avoid hitting anything going forward, because there's going to be more work in that area. So,
Right.
Mike, with your knowledge, I don't know if you can.
So I've never,
Enlighten us.
the big problem here is there's 6 units within that subdevelopment. All 6 units are on the same irrigation system. So you hit that main, there's 6 lawns that could go.
Right.
Now, I don't have a plot plan. Tom Bird Jr. built the subdevelopment. He never gave us a plan for what the irrigation is. I have no idea exactly where those run, but I think through cooperative effort, we can figure that out. We can move the irrigation lines and hopefully avoid having any of these issues and having any overlap between the irrigation lines and the easement on a go-forward basis. I think granted, I'm not plugged into the town very well. I don't pay attention to a lot of what's going on. I don't think there's been a lot of transparency with this project. I never received a notice of it as an abutter. Like, I just see this cloth fence or whatever, silt fence, whatever you called it, put up in Kayla's yard one day. A couple days later, there's a metal fence there. It was before the time when we would activate or turn on our irrigation system, just due to the time of year. So really, I had no knowledge that any of this was going to go on, or that I needed to prepare and, I don't know, essentially talk to people to make sure that our irrigation system wasn't impacted.
Yeah, we didn't know there was an irrigation system
Sure.
there until.
Yeah, and
I
we made aware.
contacted, before they started this project, I contacted you, and that's how I got your cell phone number.
Right.
And I said there is an irrigation system, but
Right,
we're trying to locate it, but there's no paperwork on it. And
our first conversation was, you informed us at that time
Yeah.
that there was an irrigation system. Up until your phone call, we had no idea there was anything under there.
Right.
I asked you to get us an as-built.
which is no record.
Now we know that. So now this is where we're having the conversation to see how we move forward. So,
yeah, couple things. Do you know if it's taped? If the irrigation system, a lot of times anything like that would be taped so you can pick it up with a magnometer or something like that. So
I don't honestly know.
So that being said, the one things I want to make sure is, like you said, you're not aware of this. This has been going on for a long time, but that doesn't mean everybody's aware of it. The connection we're making is in that easement's actually a water and a sewer easement. It's been there for over 20 years. And we've been piping water from there, and the water for your subdivision goes through there too, through the T. It's part of a loop. So we have the rights to do all we're doing anyways. And it's only a small area that we're working in. I wanted to show you a plan.
However, the whole thing's taped off, like, my daughter's septic, because I'm representing my daughter from this way, okay? Her
Right.
septic is not even, where they have that big post is not even 10 feet away from them. We
Right.
measured it. Where
Well,
her main septic.
I went up
is.
there and looked at it after
And
we
it's
first.
flooded, the whole yard was flooded, I had videos of it pumping out of the ground.
When?
The other day when they turned the irrigation on, I sent her one of the videos.
Oh, well, that's with the irrigation. I'm not so worried about that. I thought you meant septic.
But I mean, she maintains it.
That's a whole different thing.
She pays the taxes on it.
Just so you know, okay? So here's the house, here's our easement.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just helpful to know what's going on. So this is our sewer line, this is the water line, okay? This sewer line goes out in the street, goes over to the driving range, which is where the leaching field's been,
Sure.
it's way old. So what we're doing now is gonna tie in, bring it out into the street, up to the field that we're building right now. So this is the extent of what we're doing. It's all gonna be on this side. That's why the trees are cut down on that side.
Sure.
I mean,
So I guess, why is the fence so much into Kayla's yard then?
it isn't. It's not. It's in the easement only. This is our easement.
So where is the home?
Your grass is covering our easement.
Okay.
But
So
if
I,
they're taking down where all the trees are, okay, they clean that whole lot
That's
over there.
that's our land.
Right, that's your land.
And our land is also where the grass is.
Right, but that was deeded over to her, with the town having access to that lot.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. See, it's part of your land, but it's an easement. So anything,
Right.
so in that land has been a water line and a
Mhm.
sewer line all along.
Mhm,
Okay. And then you put an irrigation system in there. That's fine.
mhm,
Unfortunately, we didn't know what it was. You didn't know what it was.
mhm.
Our contractor comes in and there's no way to trace it.
Sure.
You know. So here we are that's what we're gonna be doing in that area that's
Yeah.
cleared, okay? And it's gonna be restored to basically grass. We have to be able to get access to it.
no, I understand that.
Nope,
I
no,
just want the irrigation fixed,
So-
and I can't fix it with that fence there because it's obviously on the irrigation line. So it's gonna take
All right.
multiple
But my-
people cooperate. Hold on, Mark,
Sorry,
hold
go
on.
ahead.
It's gonna take multiple people in scheduling of, I need to get an irrigation company, I need to have a fence company. I just need to, I just need to get all these people together in
Yep.
order to remedy the
Okay.
situation.
Just wanna make sure you understand that. So we'll talk to our contractor
Yep.
and we'll work with CDM's our engineer, the
Mhm.
contractor. We'll work with them. We've already talked about it. And get you the access you need. You wanna have that access as soon as possible, I imagine.
I mean, yeah, it's getting warm out.
But my thing is where they're gonna be all the digging, where they're clearing out. So that all that grass that's right, you've been by there,
Yeah,
all the
we're
grass
there.
that's all right there. They're not digging up that close over there. They're digging all the way like in the middle part over. of that lot. Where all that grass is, from what I'm understanding.
We still had to define the easement for the workers.
Okay,
That's
but,
why the
The
fence.
the fence is on the edge of the easement.
right, but I'm saying, if that's where all the lines are, there's no way that they can move that fence over if
No,
they
that's-
need the
I
fence
think what we
up.
have to do is, well, the contractor will have to make act, when you get,
Mhm.
what I would do, just thinking out loud, get the technical people who are gonna do the work, yourself, or whoever it is, get that scheduled. In the meantime, we'll talk to the contractor. They will give you access to fix the pipe. At least then we can know where it is.
Sure.
And hopefully, it's not gonna be affected. I mean, let's say the irrigation system goes around like that.
Mhm,
Then I got another problem. We got another problem because we're gonna be digging that up too.
mhm.
So I think what might be helpful is if you keep digging a little bit and see if there's any tape on the irrigation system, or if you can show us where are there pop-up sprinkler heads anywhere?
Sure,
here?
we should be able to figure out based on the heads
Is it-
where the
That's
line.
what we
Is
were
it like
hoping
that
for.
mesh of plastic pipes, or is there like a main water
So
pipe?
this is a main water pipe,
It's a
because even
main
when we
water
shut
pipe.
this system off, the well was still pumping because the main was pulling water.
Mhm.
See, that was
Is
the
it in a
first,
well?
that was the first.
So we have a well that supports our irrigation system.
Oh, okay. Where's the well?
It's underneath, we have a shed kind of in this common area of land. It's like a half moon. This way
In the
is.
easement?
And you guys should be
No, no,
aware
no,
of that
the
if
well-
you're digging in the area. You
Excuse-
should have done due diligence.
So-
to dig safely.
My understanding is not that the
resolve
well
this.
is within the easement. I don't know exactly where the well is. I can talk and get more information on that. I don't think it's in the easement. I think the well is within the island that is away from, and that's property of.
That would just help, that would help us,
For that.
it would just help us know if you know where the well is.
Sure, I will do some work.
Yeah,
to
Yeah,
figure
do you
that out.
know-
This house was the first house built there, so everything connected off of
Would,
that.
would anybody, do you know anybody, like would Fred Junior know?
He should know.
He should
The
know.
well's in this area somewhere.
The well should be, I don't understand this
This-
diagram,
there's
to be
your-
honest with
there's
you.
your- there's
So
your
there's an
house.
island like right here.
Oh, over here, okay.
Yeah, and the well, my understanding is the well is somewhere
Sorry,
under
that's-
here,
that's
but I
what-
don't know that for a fact, so I'm gonna have to find that out.
Just-
You know,
that's-
take moving the fence, are they gonna move the fence, so it's not.
So I guess, well, this is all part of it, right? Is just, I feel like
We're all gonna coordinate to make it.
we all gotta
happen.
coordinate, but then there's
Yeah.
the cost of it, right? I was never provided with an opportunity to get ahead of this because I didn't know that this work was going on. I didn't know this fence was going to be put there. So I have no idea what the cost of this could be.
But Kayla was never notified either.
Sure. But
about it.
I'm just saying, like,
Again, we weren't aware there was a.
no, I know you weren't
No,
aware, but
Before the dig
but we
started,
could've
we,
done some
none of us
due
were aware of
diligence.
that
Okay.
development.
in
Okay.
advance of,
Well,
it, right?
Like if you said, hey, we're gonna be digging right up against your backyard.
Nothing.
Listen,
Like,
and I
if
don't
there-
want, I don't want this to be
Everything
an argument. I just want to be walking the dog fix, you know?
That type of conversation or spend our time and energy.
No, but the thing is, none of
Working
us were
together to
notified.
make-
I'm not trying to get an
Well,
argument, but when
communication
this
going
house was,
forward would be a help.
I had a call up.
Considering there's relatively few.
Can we
people
reel this back in again,
So
please? Can we reel
intimately
it back
affected?
in, sir? We'd rather spend our time helping everybody get this
Yeah.
resolved. Or we can spend a half hour listening to what we did wrong, okay? So we're gonna coordinate it. We have Mike's contact information. I'll see if we get Fred Junior out there at the same time.
Yeah.
And make it all happen.
Yeah, I appreciate
mean,
that. And as soon as possible, I mean, I'll call around, I'll try to get some irrigation people that can schedule a time. Like, are the contractors, are they typically
They're right up the street.
communicative and like, are they on site and are they available?
They're right up the site of the.
Really? Okay,
You just go through us, we'll talk, we talk with him.
sure.
Dave is our superintendent.
Yep.
And he's here all day.
Okay.
We actually work,
They get a
So-
Dave.
between Dave and I and Elaine, we'll be able to
Yeah.
coordinate, because we're around sometimes. But it's just a matter of us talking to the contractor with you and get you access, so you can look at it. If it's one pipe went through a 4-inch header pipe that services the whole system, it's a patch for 2-3 feet of that, and that should do it.
Yeah, I know, it's happened before with somebody's septic being replaced in the
Right, I
backyard
mean,
and that was a
it
pretty
happens all the
fix,
time.
so.
What happens,
um,
but I think that's a simple answer, and then how we pay for it, we'll figure that out.
But see, I figured about the irrigation, where you said when it got turned on, all the heads would have came up. So then I was thinking we could have marked them all that way, but that didn't work.
But
No.
we can, when they
Once
turn
we
back.
fix this.
No, but the heads will come up either.
Yeah, once you put the pressure on, it'll come up.
So we'll just be in touch then. I'll work with,
Yeah, we've
I'll
got
make
your
some
phone
calls.
number, we
Yes.
have your email address, so we can
Yes.
go off of that. Is any day better for you?
I can work from home if I have to, so
Okay.
I can be flexible.
Okay, so we have been talking with the engineers
Okay,
and the construction company to see if they have any ideas as well. I mean, we want to make everybody,
sure.
we're not here to make life difficult. for
No,
anybody.
I understand that. No, that's fine.
So we just want to work
Oh, yeah.
together, get it resolved, and hopefully at the end of the day, we'll all know where the irrigation system is.
If this is the extent of our problems,
Yeah.
we're Heather, home run.
Well,
I'm
then,
glad that I
well,
could be,
that,
because I know that you're
it's
easy
doing the lot,
resolve.
that's doing the work down there. My daughter was talking to him one day and she told him there's irrigation lines there. And she's like, my mother, talked to them and said, just let us know the whole thing. He goes, is it in writing? He goes, because we're not paying for it if something happens to us.
Then
And
that's,
that's why I called you, because I was like,
That's how the contract is kind
and
of.
the contractor wouldn't pay for it.
but I'm like, Mike, we got a problem.
No, you don't. The contractors wouldn't pay for it.
Oh.
That's why we asked you to contact us,
Okay.
because we.
That's why I called you, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta get in touch with
And
her.
we coordinate all the parties to make it happen.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate
All right.
it. Thank you. Be in touch.
Okay.
So, I live at 305 Country Club Way,
You
which
can sit at the table.
I found out was the property that's closest and therefore probably most impacted by the construction, according to CC and their engineer. So again, I was a little irritated that no one from the town talked to me and gave me a heads up that my property was going to be closest to this construction, or how extensive the construction was going to be and how it would impact the value of my home. But that's a separate issue. I know that this is a big public works project that you guys have been working on for a long time. But as I talk to you about what I'm going to do, I do want you to remember that it is a public works project. The city has been living without it, and it's not a life or death project. So as it relates to the potential safety and financial effects of residents, I want you to hear us out. So the most critical, clear and present danger of this project is that the proper seismic testing was not performed to see if it is structurally safe to do the construction that they're doing so close to my house. And I know this because I had a representative from CC, a representative from their insurance company, and one of their insurance company engineers at my house yesterday. Because, I've called the police, I've tried to, take any angle I can to have them cease and desist until they've really shown that it's safe, which I know it's not because I've been in the house while they're doing this construction. And there's, to me, I think there's already new cracks in my basement floor. And I think if the construction's just starting, it's just gonna get worse. But literally the house shakes much worse than the earthquakes that we've had. And I would say shakes like you would see on an earthquake, in California when they're doing this work, which again, very rudely goes right up to my property line. Just right over my property line, boom, is a huge excavator pounding the ground. But I know that they did not do the proper seismic testing on the impact of my foundation, because I had the engineer there yesterday and he said, no, he goes, I know you might feel shaking, but we did seismic testing right at the black wall in the soil, and it's way below any sort of vibration that could cause damage. And I said, but that's totally illegitimate. The soil right next to where they're pounding just transduces the energy. When that energy hits my hollow box foundation, it's like ringing a bell. And there's resonance and there's amplification. And I used that term. I said there's resonance and it amplifies. And the engineer said, he looked up and he said, yeah, I guess that's correct. So
Frank,
they need to test this seismic, they need to do the seismic testing in my foundation, not in the soil. The soil's like water, it just transduces the wave. It's when the wave hits my foundation that it starts to shake. And
can I add
I think
something to
I'm
this?
the only person affected because I'm the one who lives closest to it. I think there's only, I don't know what other houses are that close. And I don't know why the plans can't push back another 50 or 100 yards from my house to begin with. Why did you have to obnoxiously take it right up to the limit? But again, I demand that you cease and desist anything around my property until the proper seismic testing has been done, because it has not. And I'm not even going to get into the issue of the $1 million loss of equity in my house, the sale of the house that's falling through next door because our houses are now unsellable.
I've spoken to that.
So I've lost $1 million of equity in my house. It's going to cost me $10,000 to $20,000 to plant trees to take that eyesore out of my backyard. So you've affected me heavily financially. I realize that's a separate issue, but the immediate clear and present danger is that you have not done the proper seismic testing to be pounding that close to my house.
Oh, I
So-
want to speak to that.
Several things. First of all, the only work that's been done up to date near your house is the clearing of trees.
So if it's going to get worse, you better do this testing.
It's
And
not.
I
That's my
still
point.
demand.
But it's not, I don't think it, well, first of all, let's just give me a second. Second, the only work that's been done is the clearing of trees, meaning cutting them down with a skidder, stumping them with an excavator, moving the stumps away and tripping them at the other end of the property. That's all that's been done. On the other side of, behind the other houses, which are exactly as close as you are, all going down, there's like 6 houses that abut up to that area. Those have the same buffer zone, and that was all negotiated and fixed before, years ago. And we had public meetings and all kinds of things that.
Yeah, before houses were built.
No, the houses were there. The houses were there. This project started 20 years ago, because I was on the sewer commission, and it's been in place.
Well, don't bum rush it now.
No, wait a minute, let me finish.
To the detriment of our houses.
Please. So the only work that's been done is the excavation of stumps and removal of trees. After that, it'll be just excavation of soil, putting in pipes and covering it. Nothing more than that.
CC told me that after they backfill, they'll be pounding and tamping it,
There'll be
and
roller,
that would be the worst,
there'll be some roller compaction. That's it.
which she said would be
Excuse me.
worse than what's been going on.
Can I interject? Hi, Frank, it's Beth Dennison. I'm actually on
Hey.
the other end of this. I'm like one of the last houses.
And what house are you at?
We're at
What's your
287.
287? Okay.
Yep, I've called you guys before too when stuff was falling off my walls and I lost numerous pieces of artwork, which I've taken photos of, just to have for if there's any complaints that need to be filed. But I'm at the other end and I'm experiencing exactly what you're experiencing, Frank. I've been taking videos of the pure volume of vibrations and the stuff falling. My brother's actually an engineer for GZA. He's a geotechnical engineer for the company that CC hired. And I've sent him the videos and he said, if they're not within 100 feet of your house right now, you should not have that type of vibration. And I have not had anyone from GZA come out and do the survey. I sent them back the paperwork for the pre-construction that has been going on for a month. I do have some cracks also that I've been documenting. My brother told me everywhere to take documented videos and pictures of that could be affected, and no one else has been out here. So he's getting this, and you guys are saying, oh, well, you're not right on the line yet. It's the other houses. I went out and videoed how far they still are from my property while I'm getting these vibrations, and they aren't right there. So my brother, who is one of the engineers from this company, is telling me that they should not have this type of vibration. And he looked in the file, and there's been no update on the readings. So that's a concern. I also am concerned with the trees too, because the devastation of all the vegetation out there is definitely, a concern too. But it is more concerning when you're in your house and everything is shaking so loud. I was gonna try to make it to the meeting tonight to show you guys the videos, but I couldn't get there. So it is a problem, not just for Frank, who's right there. We're on the far end, and the work that they're doing, he said, absolutely should not be justifying the types of.
I would agree, it shouldn't be, and that's what our engineers, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
So, I mean, that what your brother told you is exactly what we would expect. There's no
Right.
source of energy to make that happen, which is why we brought engineering, and CCA brought the engineers in to do the work. And the idea is for them to evaluate each house and document that condition so that whether or not there's actually a damage claim in the future, there's something to go by.
Yeah,
Right,
but
and
that's all they cared about. They were taking pictures, like I told them, I said, this crack wasn't here, 3 weeks ago. And the engineer got down and tried to say, oh no, there's dirt in there and there's dust. And so this is more than 2 or 3 weeks old. And so they just went around the house to try to document what cracks are there now so that they could verify if something new happens later.
Right.
But they're not concerned at all about preventing something from happening. And the insurance agent in Pure Insurance Ease said, yeah, we don't deal with preventing things. He said, if you get damaged, then we assess it and pay you back. I'm like, so you'd rather wait till my home is damaged?
Their task was to document. Their task wasn't to interpret or to prevent anything. Their task was to document a baseline for us. That's what they were there for.
But it's too late. I'm telling you, there's already damage done from what's been going on. And if it's going to get worse.
Right. Right.
On the
That's what he said.
It's going to get worse. That's
great
why
that they did a baseline.
That's exactly why they're doing the work now. So they can document if it got worse, they can take care of it through their insurance company. That's why they're doing it. If there isn't anything that's demonstrated, there won't be an insurance. There'll be an insurance fight between somebody, but it won't be. This is how they protect themselves. This is how the contract is protecting themselves from damage caused by the construction. To go back to your brother's point of view, this was designed specifically not to have an impact. The kind of work that's being done should never have caused any kind of vibration.
But it has.
So
that's why I want you to cease and desist. So until you have performed
we have a contract
proper
that's going to go
testing.
And they have tested.
See, and you're trying to bum rush.
No, we're not.
It's been going on for 20 years.
Sir,
why are you trying to rush?
Because we have to get
my expense.
It's not your expense.
It is my expense.
It's our expense too. We've spent a lot of time and effort getting it. 20 years. The fact that you don't know about it is not our fault. I can yell as loud as you can. Okay? Stop it. We're documenting it properly with our engineers and the contractor. It's their responsibility. But to go back to what this woman said, never should have happened. There should never have been any significant vibration from digging in a sandy area, period. But we went ahead and took this step to help resolve the issue as soon as we found out there was a concern. We've only been in construction for 3 weeks. Okay? So we have to be done this summer.
Why?
Because we do. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole nother discussion. Right?
So your concern is that going forward, there's going to be, in your interpretation, damage to your property.
Worsening damage to my property.
Damage to
in
your
addition to the property value, but that's separate. Separate issue.
So damage to your property right now, today we have a baseline. If something changes from that baseline that's been documented, then you let us know and we'll help to resolve the issue. If
Is someone
continued
on site?
construction- Excuse me?
I'm sorry, is someone on site to monitor? Because he says that the file hasn't been updated. So it doesn't seem like someone from GZA is constantly out there
It doesn't, to
documenting.
have a third party not involved with the project, looking at internal files, he doesn't understand how the project.
He works for GZA. He's not, he
No, but
works
what
for
I'm-
GZA.
But what I'm saying is, just because something hasn't been put into a file that he's looking into, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Well, no one's
Right,
been
so
to my
it's-
house with a seismograph, and that's what needs to be done to properly test the impact.
We'll bring back the point you're making to the contractor. Typically, they wouldn't do a seismic setup for this kind of operation. But we'll bring that back as a concern. I mean, that's legitimate, okay? Again, the energy that they're generating with them cooking out stumps doesn't do that. I mean, it just doesn't do that. I've been doing this for a long time.
Maybe the sandiness of the soil transmits energy
Well,
more so than regular
It's
soil.
actually less.
So
It
that you're
dampens, the sand actually dampens, attenuates that kind of, if it was rock, if it was on rock, that's when I'd be worried. That's why typically in a project this, if you had bedrock real close or your foundation was on bedrock and we were moving over here, that energy is transmitted very quick. That's why earthquakes that we have on the East Coast in Virginia, we feel them up here as the bedrock. In the other parts of the country where it's just like the West Coast really is, it's all mud and sand. We have bad earthquakes, but it follows a very strict line. I won't get into technical stuff, but this is why all the engineering done up to date was, I think, proper. We brought the engineer and the contractor in to look at the question, document if there's a problem. If there is, deal with the problem with the insurance company. That's the way it should be done.
do you guys want to just wait till the damage happens?
No, we're not waiting till the damage. We're going to document if there's damage. We cannot stop the project. There's no reason to do that. There's no
See,
reason.
I think there's no reason to forge ahead with it, or at least in the area near the houses, until you do your due diligence on the impact
That has.
of our property and our property value.
No, that's not part of the project. We have a project to complete. You came in here concerned, you keep saying the value of your property is another topic, and that's correct. That's not part of the construction. That may be a result of the construction, but this is to get a construction project completed. You're concerned with potential damage on your house. We have a baseline. If you see something that changes, we will get back there with an engineer. We're going to look to see about this test that you're asking to be done. We're going to look into that. Is there anything
Their
else?
engineer agreed and said that was correct.
Well, we're going to follow up on that.
We're going to follow up. With it.
Is there
our job.
anything else that you'd like to bring up as far as it relates to construction?
No, in the future, I want to bring up the impact on property value, home equity, and the replanting of trees.
Well, you can bring that up and put it all together in a
It just-
document and.
Like, I think that should be part of the budget for the project to,
Let me
replant.
be clear. There's 100-foot to 120-foot buffer on our property that's not cut. Okay, so those trees are always already there. Where we have excavated to put the field, there's going to be a weed field from now on. It's just going to be a weed flower bed field that the Conservation Commission is going to be, along with other people, going to be maintaining as open field. And all the other trees around the other end is a small place where we have stockpile. Those trees are going to go back up. So all you're going to have there, I mean, you talking about your property value. This is actually going to be a very nice field, flower field, birds and birdhouses and all that when it's done, which will be this winter if we're lucky. Okay. So it really, I mean, it's the temporary impact is noticeable, but it will be a very nice looking, different than a forest.
So the house is unsellable now, but in a couple of years, it will be almost back to
We're not
normal.
gonna we can't have that conversation. None of us are realtors, none of us
Mhm.
are any of that. We're here to,
But I'm sure you'll be dealing with it with my next door neighbor.
I've spoken with your next door neighbor.
All right.
Okay. Thanks
So-
for coming in.
I would ask that construction stay away from my house until the proper seismic testing is done.
We're gonna pass it on to the contractor.
Just push it off, you know, just tell them to stay an extra 50 yards away from my house.
Depending on the construction schedule, we'll see what we can do, but we can't guarantee that.
Your attitude is disappointing. And you're certainly not an advocate for your citizens, but I will try to work with you pleasantly.
Well, unfortunately, the alternative would have been a 40B complex on that same property. That's when the town got involved.
All right. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, Dave, you have anything to share with us?
Well, just briefly, because I know you have to go, just a little update on some things that have been going on lately, all positive. We had our generator biannual checkouts. All the generators have gone through and got their yearly maintenance done. We do a full maintenance in the spring and a quick one in the winter, in the fall. Our fire protection system was just checked out recently. Everything went well. And we upgraded the Jones River Pump Station VFDs. So if they ever fail,
Oh, good.
we now have a bypass that we can run those in hand.
Very
So
good.
it's been some pretty good, significant stuff in the last couple of weeks. We had an episode last week that the trees growing down Cranberry Road were arcing out with the electric lines and starting to burn. And I called the fire chief in town. He had Eversource come out within probably an hour, and they trimmed all the trees back to the point that now we don't have that happen.
Does that affect the transfer station too?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's the main feed for everything.
It's not good for them big motors they have for those compactors.
Not good for us at the plants.
Yeah.
At least they can stop bringing trash.
Yeah.
You can't stop the water.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, other than that, we had a department head meeting today, and there's been discussion about a fall meeting that's going to be added to the list. And there was a discussion about maybe as projects finish up for the completion of the upgrade, that we look at taking our budget surplus extra funds and redirect some things, but we have time to wrestle with it. That was just today's discussion.
Okay, and how's the punch list with the expansion? Just so we see, you know how close we are to wrapping up?
Yeah,
and-
we had discussed some of that this week. There are a couple of small items left, cosmetic stuff, and then just an electrical thing that they have to do with the effluent pumps. And we're waiting on that. It might still be a few weeks to a month.
Okay, then I'll talk to, because I want to talk to Tom about what the final project cost is. And if there's any,
Yeah,
any money available to do some of the items that may need to be done.
most of the items have been either called for on a price, or there's a holdback because they haven't
Yeah.
completed. The only variable is they looked at it last meeting we had, we talked about doing this upgrade and getting a change order through. They redesigned it and they're waiting for a modified change order.
Okay.
That might decrease the cost of that.
Oh, good,
So,
even better. And this, I had put on staff salary. You'll see, there's an email going around today that we push this to the next meeting, just so everybody can get caught up to date on the, on, Dave's salary.
on that, I'll just leave you guys both with these. You can take them with you as you go, but on, I looked up what they do for the union side of things for classification. And then the wage and personnel, how they're different from each other.
Okay, good.
So that, if you can send them to Wayne. I just highlighted each, so they do differ. And I handed that to Tina today in HR, so she said she'd take it.
Okay. We did the loan documents, the update, Beechman Fields update. I guess this is probably a good time for me to leave, because I do have to leave. So,
I just said.
Yeah.
On the, well, on the numbers that we had here,
yeah,
I just wanted to know what the numbers, what this percentage, but I want to know what the numbers were on the graphs, how that translates into, so I can compare apples and apples.
yeah, it's $.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then, I'm gonna send a text right now, an email to CDM on
Okay,
this issue. That we just talked about. And on the leaching field, was that ever get into the
So
webpage?
that is gonna be updated tomorrow morning. There was like a glitch
Okay.
with the software.
So the only thing I would add, if it's possible to add, that an update is the first 2 leaching field cells are under construction. They're in the corner, farthest, I think, towards the lady who was on earlier. She may still be on. They're actually excavating, and they'll start putting in pipe. And I'm gonna verify, I don't know what CDM or the CC said, but the compacting this field is very low energy. I mean, the worst was the road going in. That was because you had to do a vibratory roller. They use a small vibratory roller, but it's very small, very lightweight, because you can't compact the sand around the pipes. You want to break them, you want to let it fall through. As opposed to the road, you don't want to let it go through it all. You want to shut up. So, and then just the last thing on this, the number on the SRF, are we able to adjust the number back up?
I reached out to Ken and asked who his contact was at the state, and he said he's waiting to hear back.
Okay, so that's the same we kind of talked about before.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Elaine, aye.
Brian,
Bill, aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks.